Underdog Daily with the Badge Bros. Well, just one Badge Bro today. But yeah, we're hanging out. Black and Yellow Dog app, platform of the people, Underdog Sports, all that good stuff. Got treated yesterday, Canada Day. Your boy was off there. Nezzy was taking over at the helm there. Had a nice little paywall show there, talking some baseball. But we got treated. Some nice footy action there yesterday. Had myself a nice Canada Day with the friends and family. Hopefully some of you guys celebrated as well, but I imagine there's going to be not as much interest over the next couple days here, just given how people are probably taking extended weekends up north, and then down south, everybody's taking extended weekends for the 4th there. So I thought I'd switch up the time slot here, test out, put the poll in the Discord there, see if people would like that 12 p.m. time slot. I was like, oh, perfect day to test it out, right? Nobody else is going live, whatever. And then lo and behold, Davis goes live out of nowhere at the exact same time. So maybe some of the football crowd will be over there. But yeah, we'll talk about a little bit of hoops to start. Then we're going to talk the MLB short slate here. Interesting short slate because we finally don't have pound your head against the table, obvious chalk. There's definitely some decent hitting conditions, but not as amazing as there has been the last couple days there. And then we'll wrap it up with a little solver draft here. Really getting into the football streets as the summer progresses here. I've been doing at least kind of like 2-3 a day on my own accord. Maybe we could fill one of the big Dalmatians out here, but we shall see. But a couple things to hit off the top here. Shout out Numi. He's been doing some really good stuff behind closed doors there. Shout out Underdog, who's been hosting some of these World Cup parties and stuff like that. If anyone was in the Dallas area yesterday, could have watched the footy there at the same venue in which we hosted the Dog Bowl a couple years back. So that would look pretty cool. Unfortunate, obviously not in my vicinity to attend. But a couple things off the hop here. First things first, your guy, Nezzy Takes, even though he's not here the next 2 days, he made an appearance with JJ Zacharyson. And I mean, we talk about the gold standard around here a lot. I mean, I love Lev, I love Pete, and I love JJ. Like, those are kind of like the, not to demise anybody else in the industry or whatever, but like, as far as fantasy football content is, those have been my guys for a decade now. And very, very cool to see Nez make an appearance here on the Best Ball Bro series. Yeah, so haven't checked it out just yet. It's on my to-do list later this afternoon, but I imagine many of you will be interested in that. So shout out JJ for having him on, and shout out Nezzy Takes for being on there. If you want to dial back the clock 2 years there when JJ was with us at Underdog there, your boy was on it as well, and I think some of that stuff aged quite decently. But go check out Nezzy on that one. But yeah, let's talk a little hoops to start here, because a lot of action took place over the last couple days there. Also free agency in the puck streets there yesterday. So a lot of moving stuff, but everybody talking about the Jaylen Brown trade from yesterday. I mean, I'm not going to have anything profound or crazy to say that is not something you've already heard. Yeah, I mean, the Sixers absolutely fleeced here. I am not a huge JB guy. That's quite evident by the way in which I talk about him and the way in which I talk on this program. I think he's quite overrated on the defensive end based on the on-ball guard defense that they have around him. And I think he's kind of a stat padding volume merchant archetype. And it sounds like on the Boston side of things, they were just so sick of the antics, and he got a little bit too big for his britches, as like my grandma would say, in that locker room and stuff. A lot of quotes about him being like the smartest man in the room, or thinking he's the smartest man in the room. I don't know, man. I'm not going to read into it too much. I still just think this is an absolute fleece job for like a window is now Sixers team who just took care of the Celtics in the playoffs in the first round after being down 3-1. So, I mean, if Embiid can stay healthy, and that's always going to be the big asterisk, but you have a pretty nice core here with 3 years of control with JB, with effectively not giving up a ton and getting out of the PG contract. I mean, he had the PED suspension last year, and PG played pretty well, but like PG is just like a 3-and-D wing now, right? Like that's who he is now. So I don't really get it from the Boston angle, other than, oh, we were just so done with his antics, which is kind of a theme of the offseason right now, because I didn't really get the LaMelo trade. I didn't really get the Jaw trade. And it's kind of just like, disgruntled stars moving on from organizations that are done with their antics effectively, right? But man, if you could just get this team to be like a 4th or a 5th seed going into the playoffs and then just have healthy Joel to play alongside VJ Edgecombe, who was amazing last year, and Maxey, who's an all-NBA guy, and JB, second team all-NBA last year. Obviously, he did a lot of that, when Tatum was away, and he can do like the volume stuff. If JB can be the off-ball guy that he has been at times with Tatum, I mean, this looks great on paper. This looks phenomenal for the Sixers. I just don't get it from the Celtics angle, man. I just don't get it. Anyway, see some chats rolling in here. Yeah, it does feel like Boston crash out, man. I saw a really good tweet this morning that it was a 29-year-old Brown from Philly got traded for a disgruntled 29-year-old Brown got traded from Philly to New England, and then New England sent one back, obviously in reference to AJ Brown and Jaylen Brown trading places. I thought that was pretty good. But yeah. Okay, this is good. Can Tatum, White, Pritchard starting now, and PG compete? Plus, they added a backup 5 in Mitch Rob there on like a pretty good friendly deal. Obviously, that team can compete, but like after the move that the Raptors made, I don't know, man. Like they're kind of like they were a perennial top of the Eastern Conference team, and now they kind of on paper look like a 5th or a 6th kind of thing, So yeah, I don't know. There's like. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say PG has no juice left. I thought PG looked pretty good in isolated windows last year, but yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Ghost AF saying the 40-ish games without Embiid, the Sixers are much better with JB than they were with PG. Yeah, 100% agree with that. And if you can just keep Embiid healthy for that playoff run, like, yeah, this just stay alive in like the 4th or 5th seed and then push when it comes playoff times, right? Teams are value cap space from expiring contracts more now. I think that's kind of an old adage. Like, I think that's what it was before all the apron stuff and what it was. It's almost like they're playing into a narrative of like 3 or 4 years ago, and that's not as much the case right now. And maybe that's just because we have a lack of like free agents to spend all that cap space on this offseason, and maybe it'll look way better on paper in like next year or the year after that when they can use this cap space to their advantage. But like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how you're gonna find a better piece to go alongside Tatum. I mean, people will talk about like LeBron now or something like this to the Celtics. I could never see it, but it's the conversations that are going to start. But like, I don't know how you can find a better deal than 29-year-old JB, who's played very well, even though I'm not a huge fan of like his game. He's played it's undeniable that he's played very well. He's second team all NBA and finals MVP. And they just like gave him away, just because like, oh yeah, we'll free up an extra year of cap space and hope PG doesn't exercise a player option. I mean, PG's still 110 the next 2 years, and like JB's like 140 or 150. Like, I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of these moves have left me scratching my head. Like, am I not sharp enough to analyze this stuff right now, or do I not know enough based on what we've seen with both the Ball stuff, the Morant stuff, this JB trade. Yeah, I don't know. I have the same take as a lot of people of like, oh, well, they must have just been sick of him in the locker room. And that's kind of the narrative with all 3 of those guys. The other one to talk about that we haven't really hit on yet, because we talked a little bit about the Jaw stuff, we talked about the moves from last week, is the Kawhi stuff, man. The Kawhi one looks beautiful. I can't help but think, as like someone who, just lives in the vicinity of like Raptors, we the North territory, I can't help but think like what could have been if Kawhi just decided to re-sign after they had won the championship and they were able to keep OG and they never had to go down the BI rabbit hole, and they never, like, that core could have been so good in the Eastern Conference. Now, I don't think maybe they beat OKC or maybe they don't beat the Nuggets and stuff like this, but man, the Raptors could have had a true ass dynasty core from like that window of time, man. That window of like, hey, if you just kept Kawhi, kept OG, kept RJ, like all that sort of, or I guess not RJ. Who am I blanking on from that championship team? Anyways, it always leaves this like what if window, because the narrative was like, oh, Kawhi got traded there. He didn't want to stay. He didn't want to sign the extension. And now Kawhi, like the only place he wanted to go back to was there. So it's kind of strange there. But yeah, man, you basically just flip salaries here. Kawhi was incredible last year. Like he was all NBA level when he was out there. He was efficient as hell. He shot the three better than ever. Like this feels like he can guard 1 through 5 in the postseason. I see this and I'm like, man, if you could keep Kawhi healthy for like, hey, let him play like 60 games in the regular season and just be the Raptors team that you were last year, and then just push into the playoffs with Kawhi instead of BI, because BI was hurt in the playoffs last year. IQ was hurt in the playoffs last year, and they still put up a fight against some really good teams going 7, you know? Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, yeah, I agree with North Jordan in the chat here. He's saying Kawhi plus Scotty will be an issue. Yeah, and then you throw in Colin Murray-Boyles as well, who can defend the fuck out of anybody and had an amazing rookie year. I mean, sign me up for this Raptors move too. Like that makes the Eastern Conference look even tougher now with some of these matchups and that sort of deal. And I mean, if LeBron goes to the Cavs, that could flip stuff as well, which just makes all the moves that the Celtics are making look even more like head-scratchingly curious. So yeah, I mean, yeah, big time wing spot. Yeah. Noah's asking for the initial off the rip NHL rankings. Yeah, so if you are sick enough to be in the streets thinking about the Best Puck Classic already, you guys could see in the rankings tab here that we got a teaser. We got a teaser here, Best Puck Classic coming our way there. I haven't given it a lot of thought yet. I have not given it a lot of thought yet. So I'm not ready to roll that one out there. I'm ready to talk a little bit of hoops trade stuff, which I basically kind of just spit my fire there. And then, we could talk a little soccer because I'm really invested in it right now. Probably going to the game tonight as well. The Switzerland game is here this evening and might be the last host game for Vancouver. So yeah, we shall see. But actually, you know what's pretty cool? So another selfish reason why I wanted to try out the earlier time slot, just knowing that, people liked it in the Discord and there wasn't a lot of viewership, or there won't be a ton of viewership with like the holidays and stuff like that, was also that I just wanted to go to a single A baseball game on Friday at noon here. Max Scherzer is pitching for the Vancouver Canadians. So opportunity to see the washed Hall of Famer dice up some single A kids. He's scheduled to pitch 3 innings. It's hilarious, man. Vancouver has they normally sell out Friday nooners at the Nat is what they call them. And there's about 7,000 seats, that sort of deal. They sell out almost every Friday, but people are trying to resell these tickets for like $250, $300 now to see 3 innings of Max Scherzer. It's hilarious. So shout out to my buddy who grabbed a 4-pack of those the other day at cheap. And then we kind of just lucked into the fact that Scherzer's going to be pitching. So looking forward to that. I haven't been to a baseball game since last year. So, even though it's single A short season A ball, I'm just excited to go see Scherzer throw a couple innings. So that'll be kind of fun. But yeah, sports filled weekend for your boy there, and just continues to roll on. Like I still feel like I'm a little bit in vacation mode here, despite doing some drafts each night there. Let's talk it through. We'll take a look at yesterday's main slate. Thankful for the UD tracker. Shout out to our guy, Chris. See the leaderboard, what's going on here. What do we got there? AOB 24K takes it down last night. We finally saw the Colorado side of the Coors matchup matter. Mickey Moniak, martingaling the Mickey Moniak the last 3 days, and that finally gets home. Junior Caminero, who is on the cover today, is just on an absolute tear. What is it? 9 home runs in his last 8 games. Just incredible. Ketel Marte on a sneaky tear as well. Check out his box scores in the hashtag app rankings there. And he's homered in like 3 out of 4. as well. You get a little two-man, and then a one-off with Marte. Then you get a little bit of positive correlation with Shane McClanahan on the mound there to go alongside that Rays stack. So love to see it. Pure ethical hoops. And then we had some friends and family up at the top here that got lapped by the winner there. But we see a 3-1-1, a 3-1-1, and a 3-2 from Brad, from Raisin 2000, and from Feed the Freezer. A. Davis 3's been up here a lot in this season. Troy's up here as well. Cam Hurst again. So big shout outs to the community getting it done. And then the night that I missed, Nez went through it yesterday on the show. But shout out to Greedy, man. Greedy had all the answers to the test. Greedy's always hanging out in the chat here and took down both first and second, or first and third on the main slate on Tuesday there as well. So love to see it, man. The chalk got home in a crazy way the last 3 days. And that'll kind of be the starting talking point for today's slate. Is now we go, the pendulum is swung where there's still looks like there's half decent chalk on the slate, but nothing compared to, those 11.5 run totals. We still have some good weather, but it's a way more polarizing short slate here. So we'll jump on over to Unabated here. We got 5 games on the slate. A little unfortunate. I would not tell the good people at Underdog to have added this 6th game on it, but it would have gave the slate a nice little wrinkle because it was a really good spot to play both sides, and it would have expanded the player pool a decent amount. But in our draft games, we need that extra 35 minutes of draft time to help fill a main contest on a day in which had the daily diamond. But when I first looked at the slate today, I was really enthralled with both sides of both Davis Martin and Slade Ciccone, both making some adjustments, but then also some young bats on the White Sox side there with the handedness advantage. So I was pretty interested in that one, but that's neither here nor there. We got the 5 games to deal with here. You will see that the Rays and the Royals, because of the weather conditions, they have a 10.5 run total here. And then the Dodgers coming back home to Dodger Stadium, where it's considerably cooler on the West Coast than it has been today. And they get the gas can Randy Vasquez, who's returned back down to earth after being a half decent pitcher at the start of the season when he had all his starts at home. You get this Dodgers lineup with a 9 total there. And then it screams pitching in these other couple game environments here with these 7.5s for the Mariners. I think Bryce Miller is the 101 pitcher on the slate today, and that is not reflected in ADP. He was going to be my cover boy until I realized how effing hot Junior Caminero had been, so we put him on the cover there. And then you got an interesting one to talk about with this Braves and Cardinals spot, because the Braves have not been the team in which people equate them to being earlier in the year. Maybe some of that can be attributed to Ronald Acuna being hurt for the second time now. And obviously Drake Baldwin missed a little bit of time in there, but man, they're below league average right now in some of their splits. And I don't know. It'll be interesting because Dustin May has been throwing it quite decently. And normally it'd be like, oh, this looks like a half decent double bubble spot to play like Olsen, Baldwin, Albies with the handedness advantage. Maybe you could scroll the F down to Dom Smith or something and nobody's getting there. But on a short slate, we're going to have to get a little bit contrarian and find some of these spots. So it does look okay, but it's not going to be like one of the chalk spots. The chalk spots today are going to be the top end of the Rays lineup, and we'll talk a little bit about that. It's going to be Bobby Witt from the Royals side, and then maybe mix and match some of those lefty-lefty matchups, or get to, Lane Thomas or Salvi Perez with the handedness advantage. And then it's going to be Dodgers. And Dodgers are going to get, maybe 8 of the 9 Dodgers are going to get drafted almost every single draft. So we'll talk about, some of the lineup construction they could come out with. Mookie Betts was a late scratch yesterday, but now has the probable tag. Sounds like he'll be in there today. Luke Raley has a Q tag right now and is quite high. He's missed multiple days, not 100% if he'll be in there today, but he would have the handedness advantage against Urania. But we'll talk about all of this, and I'll go stack by stack today because it is such a short slate here. Also, just wanted to hit on it again here now that we have a forward-facing show that wasn't just the football show, is this brand new Best in Show tab. Dog of the Week, current Dog of the Week. The week still has 3 more days to it there because it ends on Sunday, the scoring period. But Indrius, Jay Baconator, and Vindeep up here, Esmeralda, all friends of the show up here. Greedo with that big time win there is up here. So tons of friends and family at the top of the best in show leaderboard. But this is the brand new best in show that has been rolled out by Underdog. Great concept. Hat tip to the draft team for coming up with this. Unbelievable stuff. Love it. Love it. I mean, any additives that we can keep getting like this, so great. We got the badges earlier this summer. We got a wide variety of contest selection that's coming. We got this best in show. There's also a couple teasers for some portfolio stuff in the future. Very cool stuff, man. Very cool. So shout out to the team again for that one. All right, let's rank it out for the people here. We're on the NHL tab there, but early slate featured a real nice pitchers duel, so I'll have an eye on that one out of the corner of my eye here if the show progresses long enough. Also got my eyes on I got the Yamal kit on again today for the Spain game there. But yeah, let's talk about this. As I alluded to, man, I think Bryce Miller is the best pitcher on the slate. We have played this Seattle matchup the last couple days with Kirby, with Brian Wu. It did not go as well as we hoped it to go. It was not lineup syncing by any stretch of the imagination, but it was like, 10-point outings. It wasn't break the slate outings. Wu goes with 14 there, and then the Kirby one was a little less so. What was that one? It was 18. Okay, so maybe I misspoke there. Maybe they were better outings than I gave credit to. So we're attacking this matchup yet again, man. We're attacking the Angels against right-handed pitching without Michael Nelson Trout in there, and a great strikeout matchup here. So, Bryce Miller has arguably been the best pitcher on the Mariners since coming back from the IL. He is a great late dinger draft selection here. So he's my SP1 on the slate. Then I think it's a very fun discussion because Nathan Eovaldi had a really nice start last time out against a team that doesn't strike out a ton. Back-to-back 9K outings for Nathan Eovaldi. I'm a little apprehensive to play Nathan Eovaldi against a lot of these power lefties, right? Like we got a bunch of power lefties who just absolutely pummeled Cam Schlittler. Granted, it was very warm with some wind blowing out at Yankee Stadium, and that's different conditions than Globe Life with the roof closed. Like the implied totals are going to be starkly different, like 2 runs different. We will get there in a half second. But like I am still a little scared of like Riley Green, Kerry Bonds, Colt Keith, Kevin McGonigal. Like they're going to fire like 8 lefties out here. And there are a little bit of reverse splitsy nature to the Nathan Eovaldi profile, but nothing to the level of like Kevin Gausman, who we talked about the other day. So, yeah. A long-winded way of saying like, I'm very adamant about pound the table for Bryce Miller as SP1. And then I'm kind of like, yeah, take Eovaldi if he's there and he falls, but I'm not drafting Eovaldi if he's going ahead of Miller or if he's going ahead of Junior Caminero, Bobby Witt Jr., Ohtani, basically. So I will be taking those 3 sticks over him today and then hoping to pair them with Bryce Miller. But if the pitching starts to push up as the day goes on, I will take Bryce Miller over Eovaldi straight up. Okay. And that's because some of these guys at the back end here, I can spin zone to right tail outcomes. Okay. So I'm basically only going to have a 7 pitcher pool today. I think Randy Vasquez is unplayable the way he has been in recent form here, and I'm not playing it against the Dodgers, right? Hurston Waldrop was a half-decent prospect. He had some good starts at the tail end of last year, and now Atlanta is getting desperate for pitching, but it's like 92 degrees in Atlanta with some wind. Like, I don't really want to play Heston in his second start back in the big leagues. Maybe it's an okay leverage play because he was a half-decent prospect or is a half-decent prospect, but I'm not getting to it today. So now all of a sudden we're down to 8, okay? And then you get Stephen Kolek, who's going up against a red-hot Rays team. The nice thing you can say is he has a handedness advantage, but he gave up 9 runs in his last start out against the Cardinals, and he's pitching in the best hitting conditions on the slate. Gone out of my player pool. So now all of a sudden, we're really putting an emphasis on the 2 top guys, and then this big tier of 4, maybe 4.5 behind. We'll talk about Urania in a second here. My eyes gravitate next to Framber Valdez because I think it's a really good place to pitch. And then we're getting a watered down version of the Texas lineup. We have no Wyatt Langford, who's really good against lefties. And we have no Corey Seager, who just went back to the IL for the 1,000,000th time as a Ranger there. And we may get no Brandon Nimmo. Brandon Nimmo is half decent lefty, but he has a Q tag right now and he's missed multiple days in a row. That's enough for me to be like, Frommer gets the stamp of approval as SP 2.5 on this slate. So I think it's a big tier of 1 with Bryce. Then it's a tier of 2 with Evaldi and Framber Valdez. Then we get into the conversation of we have right tail outcomes available, but we have a lot of fucking risk. Okay. And Dustin May has been pitching, quite well at times this season. But then when the walks rear their ugly head or the fastball starts getting hit and he doesn't throw it by guys when the velo is down a little bit, all of a sudden you get these starts like we saw in KC last time out. So it is a high variance profile that has right tail outcomes. And I'm going to be playing both sides of the equation with Dustin May and Atlanta. Dustin May, though, is my favorite of the remaining 4. Then we get into this conversation of Roki Sasaki with the fastball velo tick up with a good bullpen behind him against a San Diego team that is just god awful against right-handed pitching, and basically outside of the windblown game at Wrigley hasn't been hitting anybody hard, right? Like, obviously, they were in the winning lineup 2 days ago. They were my chalk stack. They were my favorite play on the slate. They absolutely smashed in that Tatis plus Machado combination that you had to have to win the slate, right? But I see Roki Sasaki as a play it both ways kind of guy, but I don't trust them to let him go deep enough. We've seen this for a year and a half, and I want to get really excited about the strides in which Roki Sasaki is taking right now. But he has a walk problem against a team that the only nice thing I can say about right-handed pitching is that they walk a shit ton against right-handed pitching. Okay, so they don't strike out a whole lot, but they're very bad against right-handed pitching, and they walk a half decent amount. And that lines up pretty decently with the skill set of Roki. Then we go to Ian Seymour, who had that really nice start last time out there. Shout out to Run the Sims for the projection on him last time. It allowed Nez to have multiple top 10 finishes because he was all over this guy, right? The KC lineup is significantly better against right-handed pitching than they are against left because the left-handed pitching mitigates some of the power at the top of that order with Jack Caglione and with Carter Jansen, who was on a 20-game hitting streak and now just had that subside last night. Okay, so now we get some of these mix and match lefties against a lefty that we're going to be less interested in playing, and now you get the likes of Starling Marte, Lane Thomas, like some of these like kind of like past their peak. They're supposed to be lefty killers, but they don't really strike a ton of fear in anybody's heart. The best thing I could say is the matchup's really nice. The one bad thing I could say is the weather is really in the favor of hitting here. So I will be playing both sides of both the Dustin May and both the Seymour one, but I'll be playing Seymour over Roki today. And then I'm also looking at Walbert Urania. I had, waxing poetic about him the other day, and then he goes up against the Athletics, and he was perfect for 4 innings. And then he got BABIP to death, and he gives up 7 runs on a bunch of really ugly base hits is basically what happened. I'm going back to the well on Urania today. Back to the well, and I'm trusting that right-handed pitching versus the Mariners is still a half decent spot in the best pitching environment on the slate. I'm going to be mixing and matching him over this tier of 4 for the leverage. but I'm going to probably rank him, at the bottom of it. But I can understand playing him over Rookie because we're kind of scared of how deep he could go, and we're kind of scared of his walk problem, right? But just understanding that the last 4 pitchers on the slate are like right tail or bust, okay? The mean projection darlings and like coupled with some right tail are going to be Miller, Eovaldi, Valdez. So I will be heavily concentrated in those top 3, and my initial runs in the morning here are going to be very concentrated on getting Bryce Miller before he flips to SP1, because I believe he will flip to SP1 or at least get damn near close as ADP solidifies the remainder of the day. So there's your SP rankings. I think it's only 7 draftable. If you want to get super cheeky with it, Waldrop would be the one guy you could throw in as the scroll the F down here as SP9 because he has some prospect pedigree. That's my rankings here. Let's check at Run the Sims here and see what they are doing. Give me 2 seconds. We go over to the pitching. They have it. Bryce Miller with about a 20. Obviously not a 1-for-1 scoring format, but Bryce Miller projected the highest for them. Then Eovaldi, then Roki Sasaki. So they're buying into the recent improvements and the velo uptick, and buying into the fact that San Diego has been awful against right-handed pitching all year. Then it's Framber Valdez. The projection is, a little bit lower. Then they're pulling up Urania, which is nice to see. Seymour, Waldrip, and then they're way down on Dustin May comparatively to ADP. I would give Dustin May a little bit of a bump because of the right tail outcomes that I see and what I've seen with my eyes there. I like Frammer more than Roki, but the projections tell me otherwise. And then Urania, I like what they've done here, and just like he's a nice little leverage play there. Let's take a look at what Cardi has cooking on the pitching front for today. He has it Eovaldi, Miller, Frammer, but they're all within like 1 point of projection. So it's one big clump. Then he likes Roki Sasaki, then Seymour, then May, then Urania, then Waltrip being, kind of part of that May tier. So the biggest takeaway from both models right now is they're way more down on Dustin May. And kind of what I alluded to is there's a clear line in the sand after the 3 in my estimation, but some of the models like to include Roki in that tier as well. So there's your pitching breakdown from the top. Actually, one thing I wanted to show you guys. Let me take a look here for a half second. Give me 2 seconds. I forgot to bring it up earlier just for fun. I know we poo-poo and make fun of the lollipops, but man, look at this Bryce Miller profile. Like when he was a stud, when he came up in like 2024, he looks even better than that window of time. Like he has fully righted the ship, and it gives me like a lot of confidence to say that the floating chips in the elbow issue that led to the results of last year and the late start to this year, it kind of looks like it's subsided, and we can chalk a lot of last year up to injury, and now he's returning to form of the pitcher that he was in that 2024 window. So, I mean, I'm bullish Bryce Miller today, but it's baseball, baby. So if you want to get those leverage stacks going with the Angels, you'll be the only guy in town doing so other than Eyes on Fence. Let's take a little look at the hitting conditions, courtesy of the Ballpark Pal here. As you guys can see, that big boost to home runs in Kauffman Stadium there. And then the rest of the hitting conditions were on the early slate. And then pretty net neutral across the board outside of the 2 spots that will probably have the roof closed today. Definitely roof closed at Globe Life. T-Mobile, TBD. It's like 60 degrees in the Pacific Northwest, and there's a little bit of rain in the forecast going forward. But most likely, I would venture to guess the roof's closed this evening just because of the potential rain there. So, really good pitching conditions for all of those pitchers that we laid out as kind of being our favorite. So we're leaning into the ballpark conditions today. Truist Park looks like a good little double bubble leverage against Dustin May, even though it's not like popping off the charts. It is, let me cross-reference here. it's 90 degrees there. So yeah, but definitely best hitting conditions on the slate are Kauffman Stadium, that bigger outfield, the walls pulled in a little bit this year, 12 miles per hour going out to left, and it's 88 degrees. So a good run scoring environment that now sees a little bit of a home run boost to it bodes well for me. So yeah, the chalk being a little bit of Tampa Bay, a little bit of KC, and then the Dodgers just because of the spot they're in. But the park factors suggesting that that TB Kansas City spot would be best. And the run totals on the unabated line suggesting the same there with that 10.5 versus that 9. But if we go team by team specific and we look at the simulated totals, you're going to see that it's actually half decently close between the Dodgers here with this 5.58 and then the Rays with a 5.32 and the Royals with a 5.15 there, right? Yeah, kind of surprising that this Rangers game is playing up a little bit with those 4 totals. I was expecting to see more in the 3s today, just given the quality of pitchers on the mound and how hard it is to hit in Globe Life and how watered down that Rangers lineup is going to be. But yeah. So pretty good segue to ranking out the stacks here. There's our pitcher rankings. As we saw there, maybe after looking at the models, we could get a little bit lower on Dustin May, but your leverage pitchers are SP9 and SP7 at the bottom there. And I'm not as bullish as the models are on Roki Sasaki today. And I'm kind of scared about how deep he goes in the ball games, given how much we need quality starts and win equity on our platform to separate. So obvious stuff here is kind of a debate at the 101 today and the hitting conditions. I think just given the strength of infield versus the strength of outfield on this slate, or lack thereof would be a better way of me saying it. I actually think it's a better outfield slate than infield slate today, even though there's more of them, that I kind of want to put Junior at the top here. And that might be some recency bias, and that might be just me getting carried away with the weather conditions. But I think you can flip a coin between these two at the top. And then I think it's Bobby Witt over Freddie Freeman and Cal Raleigh here. I personally, don't love the Seattle quote-unquote chalk in terms of ADP at the top here. Like, we have 3 guys in the top, what is that? Basically 11, 13-ish hitters on the slate. Yeah, basically the top 10, 11 hitters on the slate. I get it. Seattle's been scoring some runs the last couple of days. It's just the way in which you score runs in Seattle is just not overly enticing, in my opinion. Like, the way in which you score runs in Seattle is like, 2 or 3 home runs and then some accumulation. Like, I would rather play the warmer hitting conditions than playing offense in Seattle. I would rather take some swings at scroll the F down Braves or scroll the F down Cardinals in those conditions than being like, I'm aping the Seattle chalk today, because I am a little bit of a Urania believer. He looks so much like Jose Soriano on paper to me. Like, just keeps the ball on the ground, has a little bit of fastball velo, has that sinker action. I don't know. I kind of trust it a little bit more than the models do today. But yeah. Give me 2 seconds here while I try and get us a little bit of exposure. Do me a favor, guys, hit the like, subscribe, all that notification if you are hanging out right now. GMs in the chat. Toxic Tower for the BBG week continuing there. Noah's impressed by the best in show. Absolutely. And yeah, we got to give a shout out to Yellow Box Nez here. Yellow Box Nez. Okay. So long story short is I go back and forth if it's Dodgers or Rays as my favorite stack on the slate. And one reason I think I'm a little skittish on the Rays today, even though, they do look like the best stack to me on paper, is just the lineup looks a little bit watered down to me, knowing that Yandy Diaz isn't 100%. So Yandy Diaz had the Q tag the other day. He ends up playing. He has a little bit of a back issue right now. He's probably still going to be in the lineup. He's probably still going to be leading off. He's not going to have the handedness advantage. You could still play Yandy Diaz, but I'm a little bit scared of that. And then I'm also a little bit concerned about some of the pinch hit risk that exists in this lineup. Like Walls is a switch hitter, but he doesn't really give you anything. Hunter Fiducia is a guy who has a little bit of pop, but he's going to get pinch hit for and got pinch hit for yesterday if they happen to face a lefty. Victor Mesa, like he was hitting in the middle of the order there yesterday. Like, sure, it's a fine scroll the F down play, but it doesn't really inspire, a whole lot of hope there. Richie Palacio, pinch hit risk, bottom of the order. Like, it's just kind of like, I get that the Rays should be the chalk stack, but like, it's really hard to just be like, tell myself a story on who I want to jam outside of Junior Caminero and Jonathan Aranda. Basically, that's it. And then, mix and match a Mesa, a Simpson, a Mullins, a Diaz share here or there. So when I look at the chalk stack and I only want to stack 3 of them, it really gives me pause. Like, is that truly the best stack on the slate? Or are those just some of the best plays that I like on the slate? So that's when I'm ranking out the stack. It kind of makes me think I want to play Dodgers, And then KC, if they were facing a righty instead of facing a lefty, they might be pushing for best stack on the slate. But I don't really love Jensen and Cags going lefty-lefty at the top of that order and then looking at the bottom of the order and being like, all right, now we need Starling Marte and Nick Lofton to go off. Like, maybe Michael Massey stays in there at the bottom of the lineup, lefty-lefty. But Sal Perez has a good scroll, prick to click. Lane Thomas may lead off, may hit fourth today. Good scroll, pick to click. Doesn't carry a ton of pinch hit risk, but carries a little bit. It's probably Starling Marte who carries more there. But long and the short of it is these are my 3 favorite plays on the slate. These 3 bats. And then Tampa Bay 3-mans really stand out to me. And probably Cedric Mullins being my favorite outfielder to add in, just knowing that Yandy Diaz is banged up and knowing that he doesn't have the handedness advantage. Plus, you can get a little bit of steal equity with Mullins opposed to playing Diaz. Now I think it's like those are the 3 chalk stacks. Where do we go next? And I'm going to bypass Seattle, and I'm actually going to say Atlanta for the double bubble leverage off Dustin May and the models not loving Dustin May and just being like, yeah, this team hasn't been great against right-handed pitching, especially without Acuna, but I can still see these crazy, beautiful hard hit rates of Olsen, Baldwin, and Harris. You can also scroll down to your Yastrzemski at the bottom. You can do Dominic Smith. You can play, either Jorge Mateo or Dubon, righty. Both of them have a little bit of steal upside. Both of them have some good on-base equity, that sort of thing. And then Ozzie Albies from his bad side, I don't usually love to play, but if you're mixing and matching these stacks, you're going to get to them anyways. Baldwin or Harris being kind of like my favorite scroll of the bunch there. Dom Smith, if you want to go full dumpster diving, would be next. But I'll use Matt Olson as the placeholder just because these 4 bats in a vacuum are my 4 favorite bats on the slate. If I can pair any of these 4 bats with Bryce Miller with my first 2 picks, that's what I'm trying to do. And then we'll go from there. Next up is going to be tough because now we get into like, these are the teams I'm happy to stack. And now it's kind of like, now what? So I do want to get into the Mariners a little bit here. And if I do so, I just want to highlight Cole Young. Cole Young has won a couple people the After Dark slates in recent memory. Cole Young leads the Mariners in RBIs. Let me say that again. The guy who was hitting 8th or 9th is in there every day, lefty on a team that has Julio, Randy, Naylor, has Cal Raleigh last year, second runner-up in the MVP. Cole Young is leading this team in counting stats, and he's freer than free. And he's been hitting higher in the order in the last week or so than everybody else is giving credence to. So we could play him. Colt Emerson will probably be in there today. He's really banger bust. He's very streaky, but he had a nice one last night. He'll be in there again today. those would be my two scrolls in that lineup. And if Luke Rayleigh doesn't go today, you most likely get either Weston Wilson, who is a quote unquote lefty killer, but they're not facing a lefty today. He has now moved on from the Phillies to Baltimore to now to the Mariners. RIP Patrick Wisdom. But yeah, you want to play like probably Victor Robles will be in there, but Canzone has some big time power numbers, and I'm a Canzone slappy. We keep talking about that barrels per plate appearance thing with Canzone. So I think this kind of like 3-man Mariners contrarian stack is a really good way to play it if everybody's going to be chasing upper echelon Mariners. And I don't think people realize how effing good Cole Young's been this year and how good the barrels and the hard hit stuff have been from Canzone and Rayleigh. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Okay, we got to hear it. So Easy taps in. We got the Warner solo going. Segue before the next thing. Okay. All right, Warner, pretend you're Freddie and visiting the U.S. for the first time, and you can go anywhere. It's paid for. Mount Rushmore of American tourists. Be creative. Okay. Now, this is loaded because I think a lot of my American tourism in the past and a lot of my American tourism in a vacuum has been around sports. And I prioritize sports when I'm going places, and I prioritize that over like scenic and beauty and that sort of thing. So I would prioritize a little bit of golf. I'd prioritize sports. I'd prioritize ballparks that I want to go to, because those are the things that stand out to me about America the most. If I'm going to say like, hey, you're just going for vacation and you're a normal person, the south of San Diego, like 30 minutes south of San Diego, and being in that San Diego area and then going like a little bit south, higher than Tijuana, like that whole area, golf, beauty, beaches, bang, in on that one. Oregon coastline stemming to the top of California, like redwoods down, and doing like the beach by beach thing, plus doing a little bit of like the dunes, like Oregon golf kind of style thing. That sounds really good to me as well. Okay. If you want to completely flip the experience and we're going Atlantic, East Coast, smaller town kind of vibes, how about Cape Cod? How about a little Cape Cod? And we go do the New England thing, but we don't do the crazy touristy thing. We do kind of like the smaller fishing village thing like that. And then I think the last spot would be kind of like a chalk donk tourist trap party kind of spot. And it might be like the Keys or something like that. It might be, doing Grand Canyon down to Nevada and then doing like Vegas or something. Or it might be Nashville, like doing Nashville and doing like urban hub that's a little bit touristy trap, doing like Scottsdale spring training, like a little touristy trap, but it's going to be a fun like party kind of scene. So my intentions with this are like a little different than like other people. Yeah, like see like Yellowstone and national park stuff like doesn't really like do it for me. I would also really like to. Okay, you know what I'd like to do like Wyoming or like something like that too. Like I'd love to do Montana. But yeah, that would kind of be like my off the board, a little bit of like, a little bit of scrolling. Yeah, a little bit of scrolling. There we go. All right. So there's your fun list of 4. Yeah. But I would definitely be kind of like a prioritize the sports kind of guy, prioritize the golf kind of guy. One that's on my bucket list right now that I haven't done is the Carolinas. Like my wife wants to go do the Carolinas and I want to go do like golf plus racing. Like I want to do like Charlotte Motor Speedway, on like Memorial Day weekend and then play golf after. Like that's a short bucket list for me. And the other bucket list one for me is Talladega. I want to do Talladega plus SEC. Like those are the two top of my depth chart on a personal level right now that I haven't done. But they obviously revolve around sport, right? So anyways, there are the takes, and as always, they're probably slightly contrarian. Back to the stacks. Back to the stacks here. So Dodgers, Rays, Royals, then the Atlanta, then some scroll the F down, Seattle, but obviously you can mix and match the top of Seattle. And then we get into like the four, play them because you have to play them. But I do think the Tigers lefties stand out at the top of the next list here. So doing a little bit of Kerry Bonds, who homered in New York there, doing little Kevin McGonigal at the top of that lineup. Riley Green has come to life recently. Dylan Digler, you can play righty, doesn't matter. Spencer Torkelson coming alive in recent memory, and we know he has big-time pop, so we could play the former 1-1 mixed in there. Colt Keith is free, and he's going to hit in the middle of that lineup for the handedness stuff there. James Outman, since he's come over from the Twins, has been, let's say, okay. Him and Vierling doing kind of like that platoon side stuff. So I would say Detroit and some of these lefty power bats and some of those righties that are coming to life at the top there. We'll leave Kerry Bonds in there as a potential pick to click. And then the last three, I'm not going to have very much of. I'm going to full X out the Angels. But if you're going to play the Angels, Zach Neto is a great baseball player who is free. So you can use Neto as a one-off. Josh Lowe is back up with the big club and has the handedness advantage if you want to get into that, that sort of thing. But these guys are going to be the worst stack in terms of priority for me. We could play. I'll like it more if Nimmo is in there for the Rangers, even though it is lefty there. But Josh Young, Rake Berger, Justin Foscue has been killing lefties. So you could play that top of the order righties, and then you could scroll the F down to Ezekiel Duran to make it contrarian and put it in there. So if we want to go like Josh Young, Justin Foscue, and then Ezekiel Duran instead of Rake Berger for the handedness advantage, who's also a little bit of a lefty killer who just has a little bit less pop. So I would like, some of these righties from the Rangers. And then Nimmo is fine, lefty. Jock Peterson will be a pinch hit guy. Yeah. But I would probably play the Rangers over the Angels there, but I want a couple of these Angel kind of one-offs mixed in there. Duran just being the most notable, scroll the F down there, but you could play any iteration of those infield righties. And then Padres, if I'm going to be a little bit more down on Sasaki than the models are, I should probably play some Padres in my life, but I'm probably not getting carried away. It's just kind of like these top 5, top 6-ish. Jake Cronenworth is back, and he was hitting at the bottom of the order because he didn't have he didn't have the handedness advantage the last couple days there when they were facing Matthew Boyd and forgive me, I forgot who the other guy was, JP Sears. So he's back in the lineup. He's had some big time vision issues, and he's been very outspoken about after the concussion not being able to see the baseball as well, not picking up the baseball as well. I'm a little bit scared of Jake Cronenworth right now, but he is contrarian. And he does have the handedness advantage if you want to do the wraparound stack. But I just wanted to share that with people. Gavin Sheets is the guy who carries big time middle of the order left-handed power with the handedness there. So if you want to do it, you do it with a Tatis plus Machado. You do it with Machado plus Sheets. It's probably 2 and 3 mans only for me, but I do like it more than the Angels stuff. So I will rank them ahead. They're probably tied with the Rangers in my mind in terms of stackability. And I guess that brings us to the end of all the stacks. Did I forget a team? No, I did not. right? Cardinals. Oh, I did forget the Cardinals. Okay, Cardinals. Yeah, Cardinals. My bad, guys. Cardinals. I just wanted to point out, I always pay attention when the good drafters are drafting, that Falco was taking some of the Cardinals this morning, so that piqued my interest a little bit. So I did do a couple contrarian stacks of like JJ plus Lars Nootbaar. Nathan Church has a little bit of pop, but doesn't have the handedness at the bottom. Jimmy Crooks has a little bit of pop, but may or may not be in there today. I do think the Cardinals are half decent. I will put the Cardinals above the Rangers, but below Detroit, I think. So some of those left-handed cards at the top of the order, if we're not going to scroll to Waldrop, we should probably get to some of these cards bats, and in particular the lefties, and you could play them against almost anybody that top 4 or 5 in the order. They've been pesky as hell, and it's 88 degrees in Atlanta. So yeah. College football game in the SEC is Rushmore for sure. Going to the Masters would be Rushmore. That's a good shout there. I just want to go to a Bama game and sing the shit out of Dixieland Delight between the third and the fourth quarter. What up, Chris G, rolling through? Love to see it. So there's the breakdown. Gave us some scrolls. We're going to have to get creative in these lobbies because people are going to be fighting for the chalk every single time out. But there's your short list of some of the picks to click and a couple for every team there. Before I delete it, just to reiterate, Dodgers, just because the stack options are longer than the Rays side there. I do think Mookie Betts will be back in the lineup today. He's been scorching hot, just kind of fun to get to. You could play Tucker, you could play Rushing. We like Tommy Edman more against lefties than righties. Same with Teoscar Hernandez, but they're both playable today. You can get to everybody in the Dodgers lineup 1 through 9. There's a chance that Alex Freeland will be in the lineup today and be a wraparound stack guy. So if you're looking for one contrarian bat, maybe that's the guy. But yeah, Dodgers has my favorite stack, even though I think I like Junior as a slightly better play than Ohtani today, but you're flipping coins and splitting hairs. But Ohtani, Junior, Witt, Olsen, then contrarian Seattle, but everyone on Seattle is fine thereafter. Then some of Detroit, in particular, some of the scroll lefties, then some of the scroll righties to the Rangers, San Diego for some skinny stacks, and then the Angels. And I guess we'll slot the left-handed cards in particular probably just ahead of the Rangers, just below Detroit would probably be my instinct. Maybe ahead of Detroit just because Evaldi's been nice with it recently. But yeah, long and the short is everybody is playable today, and we gave our pitcher pool. Let's rip a draft. Let's see what it looks like in real time here. Give ourselves a click on the MLB tab there. Ripped 2 or 3 this morning here. Let's fill a couple more. Oh, okay. What else we got? Let's take a peek. Run the Sims projections. If we jump over to the hitters today, give this a refresh. One more to draft baseball. There we go. Here you go. Witt, Ohtani, Junior, Olsen, Aranda, Mullins, Burleson, Jack Kaggs, lefty. So, okay. And then some of those at left-handed Atlanta bats. So a little bit higher on Atlanta and the Cardinals than I initially was, but almost all of it falling into place. And then in agreement with me where the Seattle bats are way further down than the ADPs indicate, we're more of Urania respectors than the lobbies are right now. Mouse is in here. Card for Wins in here. Car Park's in here. The Sneaker. We got Ace. What's good, my friends? What's good, my friends? Oh. Guys, get your swaps in for the morning. We might have missed it already. Let me take a look here. Refresh Unabated for a second here. Did we miss it? Might have missed the swaps when the first game started, but no Hunter Goodman in that Rockies lineup. So if you guys are playing the morning slate, make sure you get some swaps in there for Goodman. Mel's talking about Kentucky Derby. I don't know. Kentucky Derby just doesn't really appeal to me. Not a big horses guy. Not a big gamble on horses guy. Not really into like dressing up. I imagine it'd be great. When Suttleman went a couple years back, it looked really cool. But I mean, it's a minute and a half of fun. I like to stretch the experience a little bit more. Let's take Bobby Witt and hope we can get Bryce Miller back. We got a non-Badger over there, and we got Car Park here. We'll see what Car Park's into. He likes Dodgers, so he takes Freeman. Freeman's been swinging it quite well in recent memory. Sneaker's going to stack up some of those Seattle bats by the looks of it. Oh, he takes Olsen. Car Park's either going to take Andy Pages or Bryce Miller. He takes Miller, which makes us cry a little bit inside. We could do Tampa without Junior, which feels bad. Let's take Frammer, and then we will do some Kansas City, and then maybe some of those contrarian one-offs that we were highlighting, or some contrarian stacking of like Baldwin and Harris and that sort of thing. Yeah, I understand it's a full day of races, but like I just don't care about the results of any of them, you know? Like at least I can spin zone caring about an SEC game or caring about a NASCAR race or caring about like I don't know any of the stories, I don't know any of the horses. I mean, I would do like, you know, research before going, but it just doesn't appeal to me on a personal level. Like we got a pretty good horse racing community here, and we got like a nice outdoor track that's out in like the downtown Vancouver area. And I've been there 3 times in my life, you know, just obviously, you know, apples and oranges, but they do like a big dress up derby day and that sort of thing. And I just never been interested. Just not my thing. Maybe if I had Jokic money, I could care about, you know, racing some horses. So we see the chalk formulating pretty strong here. The Seattle stuff getting together. You know, the Dodgers, everybody fighting over, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 Dodgers in the first 14 picks. So you're going to have to get contrarian in different ways here. One fun way for us would maybe be Detroit outfielders here. So we could do like the Riley Green thing. If I take Baldwin, maybe we get like Michael Harris back, but Sneaker might be into Michael Harris. We could set up some of the Cardinals stuff and then find a one-off thereafter. All of it's fine. Let's try Detroit. We already got Frommer. We get a little bit of win equity to go alongside it. We could do Riley Green +2, use Bobby as a one-off, and then find another one-off. We could do Bobby plus Lane Thomas plus Salvi Perez and get the handedness stuff. We could play Jack Caglione, who was popping in the Run the Sims projections, even though the handedness wasn't in his favor. He would be a good scroll option too, because he is buried at 32 here. So we could do that. A plethora of options when you're not trying to fight everybody else over the chalk. So let's take Kevin McGonigal. I think he's probably the second best Detroit play on the slate. And then we'll take either 2 Kansas City bats and make it a 3-2. I did talk about, you know, some of the splits in terms of roster construction the other day of like the 3-1-1s and why I liked them on the larger slates and that sort of thing. I could definitely see myself playing more of the 3-2s, more of the 4-1s on the shorter slate today. Just a stylistic preference of mine, and you know, a little bit of historical data to back it up. But in a vacuum, the 3-1-1s will still probably be pretty nice. Melch going with the contrarian Rangers stuff there, getting some win equity tethered to Eovaldi as well. So we'll see if he goes to like Ezekiel Duran or something like that. I think in a vacuum, Mookie Betts is probably the worst priced bat on the slate. Just because, you know, people are a little bit scared of him not missing yesterday. It just sounded like a fatigue thing with the wrist. Yeah. This guy goes with the one-off Jack Kaggs, so that kind of foils our plan a little bit. So maybe we'll go 3-man Detroit and then a one-off of sorts. Or we could pivot and do like a 2-man cards stack, something like that. Run the Sims, promo code badge at sign up for 20% off there. But Run the Sims was quite high on Alec Burleson. So, I mean, there's just, maybe a one-off that won't be utilized as a one-off all that much, like JJ Weatherholt will be, but Alec Burleson won't be as much. So use him as a one-off there. And then we'll find an outfielder to go with this. We could stack up Lane Thomas. We could do a one-off of, did Cedric Mullins go already? Yeah, never mind. Cedric Mullins went already, but they were quite high on him in the projections as well. Teo is fine, but I don't really like playing one-offs from the Dodgers when everybody else is going to play full stacks from the Dodgers, especially when they're the number one chalk team on the slate. Dom Smith as a one-off is kind of fun because he doesn't really correlate with the rest of that lineup all that much. Lars Nootbaar as a scroll the F down mini stack with Burleson feels totally fine. James Outman instead of using Kerry Bonds is a good way to get your Detroit stack contrarian. No, a non-zero chance Matt Vierling's in there instead of him today, but I think they'd probably start the handedness of James Outman. Brandon Nimmo's going to be under-owned. It negatively correlates for us, but he's going to be under-owned just because of the Q tag. So, yeah. We get a 300x pick'em. Go big or go home. We can take a look at what's popping with the home run odds in a second here. We'll use Unabated and the Ballpark Pal and all those fun tools at our disposal to take a look in the pick'em lobbies. But you guys know me. You know me. I'm not going to just cook something up for the sake of cooking something up. It's got to be sharp. It's got to be sharp, Lane Thomas feels totally fine. Might lead off, might hit fourth. Both are fine. I like it a little bit more when you do a 3-man with the Royals with him there. So let's do this scroll all the way the F down for James Outman. He'll probably be like 10% drafted, 8% drafted, if that. So we'll get a skinny stack here where Green, McGonigal, and one of the infielders and or Kerry Bonds will be the most utilized Detroit stacks. So we go a bridge further, take James Outman, who once upon a time people thought was going to be really good. But yeah, he's been okay with it recently. We get 2 high projecting players in Bobby Witt and Alec Burleson in here, and we get our SP3 on the slate from Valdez in here as well. So good ethical hoops with the 3-1-1 and from Valdez. Take a look at what some of our friends cooked up. Car Park going with Seattle contrarian plus the Dodgers like that. Seattle one-off and then a couple one-offs with Walker and Diaz, but he gets that 2-man Atlanta stack. I think my favorite Atlanta stack of the day would be Baldwin, Olsen, Harris. Yeah. And then a 3-2 with Seattle with Canzone in there. Love that. Still no Cole Young's sightings yet. So if you want to play even further contrarian, and then we get a 3-man Dodgers, Kaggs as a one-off and Aranda as a one-off. A really nice looking team for card for win there. LSU football tailgating party, that'd be cool. Yeah, anywhere SEC, I'm down to fuck. Sounds great. All right. Let's move into the beautiful Unabated interface here for a second. Let's go over to the DFS Pick'em tool. Let's make sure we get Underdog Fantasy. Let's use the Ballpark Pal for the first go here, and then we will use the Bad X thereafter. We will take everything off other than home runs and just take a little peek here. Brian Rocchio with a little bit of a pop against Davis Martin today. Jake McCarthy popping largely because of the high odds there. Starling Marte, a little bit of pinch hit risk, but he gets the handedness advantage. Let's cross-reference with Run the Sims here and see if they think Starling Marte, they have him hitting 5th today, and pinch hit risk associated with him. Sorry, I can't get to the bottom of that. 1 second. Pinch hit risk associated with him will probably be highest on the team. Yes, it will, but 2,900 on the redacted site, and has 0.13 home runs, which is kind of low on the team. Josh Rojas, I don't think Rojas will be in there lefty today, but we shall see. Probably think Nick Lofton plays third base today. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, a little bit scared of the potential pinch hit risk with Starling Marte, but we could take a look at that. And then Taylor Walls, he's just popping because of the absurdly long odds. Richie Palacio is going to have a lot of pinch hit risk as well. Wade Meckler, I imagine it's just because he's popping because he's like a 7Xer or something. Let's take a look. But I think Josh Lowe will be in there instead of him today. Yeah, he's like 7.68. So those are your absolute moon shooters. I think Josh Lowe will be in there instead, and he'll probably be a 4. Yeah. I don't want to play anybody for home runs in Safeco, aka T-Mobile versus a lefty anyways. But let's see what Lane Thomas is doing, and let's see what Starling Marte. Only a 215. How bad could it be for Starling Marte? A 3.36, handedness advantage, middle of the order, wind blowing out to left field. Kind of feels okay. Sal Perez is probably going to be like 2. Yeah, 1.73, unplayable. So if we want to play something in the warm conditions with the wind going out, it's probably going to be Starling Marte. So we kind of agree with the hashtag models on that one. Cross-reference with the ballpark pal here. See who's some of the most likely to homer. They have a nice boost here to the Royals in general. Jack Kaggs, lefty is up here. Lane Thomas, Carter Jensen, Marte. So they like it as well. Let's play one of those Atlanta lefties, I think. Or we can go back to, we could flip the projection model that is in here and see if something else pops for us. Let's see. We will flip to the Bat X for a second just to get different sausage for the same process. And we will go ahead and click off some of these games and click on only home runs and see what we got. Mullins popping a little bit, so that's interesting. Taylor Walsh shows up again. And then as you guys can see, Josh Lowe shows up because I'm as smart as the models are. Okay. Let's take a look here at potentially Walls. I mean, Walls is just not a guy that you like home run pop from. Like, he's getting a 6.88. If there was ever a time, I mean, maybe it's now, but I don't like a dude who's going to hit like 4 home runs on the year, even the price point like that. Mullins at a 2.68 is definitely playable. Handedness advantage. The wind's going the opposite way, but hey, we don't have any Boosty McBoosts at our disposal here. We have $2 in bonus funds. So fuck the haters who say the whole account is bonus funds. What just happened there? Let me give this a refresh. What's going on here? It thinks we have some kind of promo set up. What is going on? I might have to do this on mobile. Marte and Mullins, home runs. Let's see if we can do this. It's telling me that I have like some kind of promo, but I clearly don't. It's like telling me I have this like Wimbledon promo or something. Promo for tennis picks. All right, we'll turn that off and then see what happens. There we go. Okay, so it was just thinking we were pushing the tennis button when we weren't. All right, there we go. Drinking and watching myself win the dog bowl. Unbelievable. So we'll play into those hitting conditions like the spot in a vacuum. Obviously Marte with the pinch hit risk, but you know, we like it. And Mullins is a better play than Palacio, even though Palacio is going to give us better odds just because Palacio's got he's got that 615. The Palacio is a better play than the Taylor Walls one. So what if we do this and then we take Lane Thomas to go with this one and we just play, two sides of the coin in two different ways? All right. There we go. Palacio and Thomas as well. I mean, Palacio might only get 2.3 at bats, but hey, oh shit, I don't click that link. Hold on, let me delete that real quick. I accidentally add an extra slash to it. Fat fingered the shit out of this. All right, there you go. All right, so there's your pick to clicks. We're playing into the hitting environments. We're playing some of the lesser known bats, some of the less chalky bats at a little bit of the longer odds there. Doesn't feel terrible. Does not feel terrible. So I'm good with it. All right, guys, let's do this. Let's try and get in. We want to get the volume up for our football stuff. Let's try and get 101 Dalmatians. See if some people will draft with us. Oh man, this might be a tough sell. I'll give it. Nah, man, 10 people at $100 price point right now might be a tough sell. I'm going to back out of this. I'm not going to rug anybody. We do not have enough viewers here right now to jump in the 101 and go crazy with it. Let's do the pit bull. I have one pit bull left. So let's see if we can fill that. Perfect. One spot. There we go. Well done. All right. There we go. Get in here. Unfortunately, maybe not a ton of friends and family would have got in because it was late filling. Shout out to Barzy, one-time Dog Bowl qualifier last year, who's hanging out in here. I will fire up the old solver. Good people at the solver there. I've been having fun, guys, just clicking buttons. I've been tweeting out some of the teams that I've been doing. I've just been kind of bro sciencing, man, a little bit here. I've done a couple with the solver on stream. I've done a couple solver at home. But yeah, I've just been having fun vibing right now, man. I'm having fun drafting football again. I am one of the guys who, poo-poos a little bit on it in February and in March and stuff like that. I'm not going to build a whole channel around fantasy football, even though it would pull way more views and make way more money. I'm not going to go full Davis Maddock on it. I'm going to be out here drafting it at the appropriate times and going to be your daily streets grinder. But yeah. Rug pulled. Apologies. Yeah, that was not a rug pull. There was 10 spots in the Dalmatian. Nobody was filling it anyways. This is not a true rug pull, but it is just unfortunate that there were only 2 spots left in the pit bull. Yeah, having some fun with some, bro science thoughts and like just doing a little bit of research on my own accord. I think I'm a little bit too in love with the old running backs right now, but I am excited at times to draft CMC, to draft Jonathan Taylor. I think it is probably a big top 3 right now, and all the projection models say so. So let's go ahead and take Puka here. You can interchange Puka and Chase depending on, what you think of Puka's off-field antics, but you get a guy who is, a little bit of injury history there, a little bit of a checkered past with the way they use him over the middle of the field and that sort of thing. But like, he's going to be an absolute volume monster for the MVP of last year with the wide receiver maker. And yeah, I mean, not a ton to say about that tier. It is kind of a big 5, and it is very notably to be a 2, then a 3. Then I think you could start doing whatever you want. You could sell me this pen on Jonathan Taylor if, Daniel Jones is a little bit healthier this season and they go back to looking like the offense that they were early in the season last year. You could sell me this pen on Justin Jefferson returning to the player in which he was, 2 years ago with improved quarterback play from Kyler Murray. You could sell me this pen on Christian McCaffrey, where any year that he stays healthy, he should be the 101, like just straight up. He should be the 101 for every single year that he plays. The efficiency numbers taking a little bit of a hit. Absolutely. But like, yeah. And then CeeDee Lamb, man, I know George Pickens there, but like the splits last year when Pickens scored like the vast majority of his fantasy points, they came when CeeDee Lamb was hurt last year. So CeeDee Lamb was always one of these kind of like top 3 picks. Not a lot has changed, like they're going to play tempo, maybe a little less 3 wide receiver set stuff because McCarthy was a big 3 wide receiver set guy. But like, to McCarthy's credit, people like to poo-poo on him being like an old ball coach, but like he was pretty progressive with like the pass rate over expectation stuff and like the tempo they played with in recent years. So, maybe Dallas slows down a little bit, and maybe they become a little bit more run centric, just given that they got Shoddy and they got the OC from those run scheme era stuff from the Cards. But I still really like CeeDee Lamb. And like, if you just go like most talented wide receivers in the league, like CeeDee Lamb is in that top 5, top 6 conversation every single time. So if you wanted to get exploitative with him or Jefferson, absolutely have at it. And then I see like a big line in the sand of like choose your own path at running back. And it's just this big chunk of green that comes off, right? Pretty status quo thus far. I imagine, Drake London and the new ADP of AJ Brown go off shortly. Yep. And then we get left with the Love decision, or we get left with the tight end 1 decision. If Bowers comes back to us, I kind of made a bull case on Off It On the Clock the other day of why I think Bowers could be a riser. Not that it really matters in a time box contest. He doesn't, so that's neither here nor there. I was going to try and make an elite tight end build here, but let's go ahead and just take Drake London. Drake London, absolute volume monster when Michael Penix was in there last year. Don't love that our first 2 picks are week 11 buys overlapping, but London falling to 21 is, it happens a decent amount, to be fair. But, two volume hog guys here. And then we'll play catch up at the running back position. Yeah. Tyler, a little bit behind, but driving to Cape Cod later today. That's unbelievable, man. I'd love to be I'd love to be you. I would love to be you doing a little Cape Cod for the 4th, man. That sounds great. Heard nothing but great things about the Cape Cod League too. My uncle actually used to live in Cape Cod. He used to he was a young hold on one sec. He was a young world traveler guy when he was, in his 20s and 30s, that sort of thing, and actually like lived on a boat and traveled all the way around the coasts of down from Vancouver all the way down North America, and then all the way around, all the islands and all the way around South America and whatever. And then when he was on his journey back up, progressively living in spot to spot to spot, lived in Cape Cod for like a long period of time, longest of any other stint, just because he loved it so much. I don't know, man. I don't love this portion of the board, but Trey McBride stands out to me. So let's go ahead and do the elite tight end thing, but we do it from the 3rd round instead of the 2nd round. I mean, you could sell me this pen on Kyron Williams just on a high scoring offense and tethered to Puka. Makes sense to me. Travis Etienne, I'm a little bit scared that they just have so many running backs on the roster. I know they went out, targeted him, got him, whatever. Like we talked about the systemic failure potential of the Saints a little bit the other day, and I'm a little bit skittish on that. Zay Flowers has been everybody's pull-up darling. T is a total fine pull-up play as well there. But I don't know. I just didn't really want the 3 wide receiver start, to be honest. I don't know. I'm getting bullish on Ladd. I'm obviously scared in the back of my mind that like Keenan ends up there. I put Amari and Hampton on the cover for tomorrow because he's just a guy that I haven't taken a ton of. So I'm kind of like, man, I just don't want to get killed by him. Like, what if he's just like the all-encompassing everything that McDaniels wanted with Raheem Mostert and the speed component and the touchdown scoring component, and he has a little bit of that Achane pass catching role, and he's just on the field, and they don't split that backfield as much as we think. And, 1st round draft capital, a lot of fun motion and a lot of good run scheme with a really good offensive line when it's healthy. That offensive line was not healthy last year. Now you get a really good healthy offensive line. I don't know, man. I got to start mixing a little bit more Hampton in, opposed to being just like the guy who's enamored with Ladd, Keaton, and Justin Herbert, because those are kind of like binary player takes. I should be like more in on like the offense as a whole kind of thing, and just kind of like swallow my pride and be like, take some Hampton, even though I don't think it's like the greatest pick in the world. Yeah, Saquon is kind of my favorite out of that clump of 4 that goes right here. And that might just be because I'm an old head. But this is what I was saying with like, I'm kind of falling into the trap of like the old guys that I've seen it from before and going like McCaffrey, Saquon, Henry, like a little too frequently. Scatterboys goes there, and we're kind of in this gross pocket where we either have to pull up a running back or we have to take another wide receiver. And it's kind of why the Trade McBride pick is a little bit puke in your mouthy. Let's go and take Jalen Waddle. I know it's enticing, especially based on the projection and the rank from ETR there, to just put Adams on this team and go with the double stack. But man, 3 week 11 buys in your first 4 picks and then like a correlated thing. I'm not about that, especially when we don't have a running back. So let's take Waddle, and then we could probably chill a little bit on wide receiver and then hope one of these running backs comes back to us at 52. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to start your running back room with Montgomery or Bucky Irving or one of these guys at 52. I am a little bit scared about Bucky Irving, just the fact that they didn't use him inside the goal line at all last year, like at the goal line or inside the 5, like at all. And he had come a sign of that mental health off-field stuff. Plus, he's coming off the injury, but it is bullish that he was available for the start of OTAs. I don't know. I have split opinions on him. So it's pretty polarizing a pick. I think if Swift is here, I haven't taken a ton of Swift. I think this is a really interesting range of running back. I think Swift is in the best offense. I think Swift performed very well last year. I am a little bit scared about how well Monangai came on at the tail end of last year. Hendo is like a bet on talent and just hope the offense pivots a little bit more to him. I think Bucky, gun to my head, Bucky's my favorite out of that tier, but Swift is the safest. And then I think Judkins is like, maybe I'm a little too caught up on my virtue signaling about him, but I didn't want another week 11 bye with him or Hendo there. But Judkins was pretty good at the end of the year, man. He was pretty good at the end of the year. So I think I have to capitulate and open my third eye that like, hey, Judkins was like one of the first running backs in that class in a strong class off the board that year for a reason. So yeah, maybe I just got to capitulate a little bit to the Judkins stuff, but I do think the Browns, I mean, I don't love their playoff schedule. I don't love their outdoor environments, like that sort of thing. And I don't think he's like a crazy standout talent where it's like he's going to get it done, like agnostic to how bad the offense could be. You know, like if we just look back and be like, yeah, we were taking a Browns running back in the 5th round. Like, what were we thinking? Like, I wouldn't be surprised. You know, like what Browns running back in the last like X amount of years has made you like eat your shirt and be like, oh man, had to have him. Like, Peyton Hillis as a scroll the F down in 2009. Like, you know, like who is it that's like really killed us? You know, sure as fuck wasn't Trent Richardson. Would love to drive Seattle to Alaska. I mean that, yeah. Do like a 1-2. Okay, Chubb. Okay, fine. Chubb was a dog. All right, my bad. I forgot about Nick Chubb for a second. Yeah, man, that we did the Alaska cruise last year. My parents are actually on one right now for 2 weeks. You know, it's beautiful. It's nice. But the best parts of going to Alaska are all in BC. I hate to admit it. I hate to burst anybody's bubble that way. The best parts of Alaska are in BC, guys. Like it's all through the Vancouver Island, the Charlotte Islands, the northern BC, Haida Gwaii. Like the best parts of Alaska are actually just in Canada. Yeah, they got some quirky, nice little towns, but they're all just tourist traps now, and they're a little beaten up and run down. And if you want to see all the bald eagles, they're in BC. They're not in Alaska. I think we got to pull up one of these running backs. I mean, I could be sold this pen that like, hey, Tony Redacted isn't the best pick on the board here. Sure. But I think he probably has like the cleanest path to being like the strongest volume out of Chuba and Ramondre there. And I do think it was a team need thing there to go to Tony Pollard. But yeah, driving that drive would be incredible. But if you want to see Alaska, like it is a hard drive at times. I think seeing Alaska by boat is better than seeing Alaska via the drive. But if you want to do a trip like that and take like multiple months, like driving through British Columbia from here, like, and doing the Coquihalla as far as you can go kind of thing, and doing like Penticton and Kelowna and wine country, BC, coupled with golf, some of the best wine and best golf in the world. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Like if you DM me, I'll share you some pictures from, you know, some of the weddings and stuff that we've done the last couple of years up there and some of the boys' golf trips. And it's some of the best in the world. It's awesome. Was really hoping DK would come back here. Let's see. I do like DK. I do like the price tag on DK right now. I do like that there's a cheap backstack quarterback for him. And we have backstack quarterbacks for all of our pass catching options right now. If DK doesn't come back, okay, he does. Let's take DK. You could sell me this pen that we need running back depth right now, and we need Ramondre's volume more than we need DK. You could sell me that pen, but I don't want another week 11 bye. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a little too granular with my thinking on the bye with the first two there. And maybe it's like driving too much of my mindset, but I think DK's mispriced right now. So I'll keep eating this DK price tag. Yeah, Skagway Brewing Co. I did go there as well. It was a very good spot. I will agree. Alaska cruises are rad. Only cruise worth taking. All right, I hear you. I've done a couple cruises in my lifetime. I wouldn't say it's only cruise worth taking. I do think that cruises in a vacuum are very cookie cutter travel experiences, but that's okay. And that's fine for a lot of people. A lot of people like the comfortability of like, hey, now I get to see a place and now I come back to what was safe and home again. And then I get to see a place and then I come back to safe and home again. So I do think, I think some of the Mexican Riviera ones are really nice. I do think there's a lot of benefits if you want to be like a cruise guy when you're older or pushing retirement in life. Like my parents have become big cruise people because they just get so many free ones now, because it's this secular process of like, why would we go do an all-inclusive, or why would we go do an adventure in Spain when we can just do an adventure in the Mediterranean and stop in Spain? You know what I mean? Like, because they get discounted stuff the more you do it. It's like Vegas. It's like Vegas in the 90s where they just keep bringing you back. The cruise ships just keep bringing you back with all the deals. So I wouldn't poo-poo on the notion of, it's the only cruise worth going. But I would say, while you're my age and while you're a bit younger, do the travel independent of cruise. And then when you're older, do the cruise stuff, right? Dat Mavis heading to Oregon Coast today for the 4th. Going to sneak some golf in one day. Woo! Woo! Jealous, my friend. That's beautiful, man. I've heard nothing but amazing things about some of the surf and some of the camping on the beaches and like that sort of thing. It's kind of like Tofino on our coast, but like all the way down there. We've done the drive, like don't get me wrong, and I've been down there, but I haven't done enough of the golf. Haven't done like that sort of stuff. We have a pretty fun pick here. I think we should address the running back position here, and both of them correlate with us at cheaper price points now. I'm actually going to go Quorum over Harvey, even though I poo-pooed the week 11 bye previously. I want a little bit of that correlation with Puka. And I also look at our running back room, and we already have a week 10 bye. So in our running back room in particular, so if we take Harvey there, it kind of makes it, okay, this is a little awkward now that we have double 11s and double 10s across two positions, effectively weakening those positions to score enough on two separate weeks instead of punting 1 week kind of thing. So maybe it's a little bit of a weird thought process, but yeah. What part of Canada would you not visit as a tourist? Probably just the middle sector. Like, there's not a whole lot going on in Saskatoon and Saskatchewan. There's not a whole lot going on in some of the outstretched areas of Manitoba and outskirts areas of Manitoba, rather. All right, let's do something we flirted with yesterday with Pete. It is so obvious to just take Matthew Stafford here. It's so obvious. The models are going to tell you to do it. Everything's going to tell you. And we talked about it yesterday, how we're just not going to have enough Jackson Dart because of it. And maybe we just don't like Jackson Dart on that level. And we don't have any backstack options for Jackson Dart. Let's just go naked Jackson Dart. Maybe we backstack it if we see something we like later, or maybe the rushing upside is just enough to carry this team. Because everyone who starts with these Puka teams on the left side of the board and does like Puka and Corum or Puka and Kyron or Puka and Adams, they all going to take Matthew Stafford. Okay, so let's flip the build a little bit. Let's take Jackson Dart and see if we can land this plane. Let's do a little bit of a ping-ponging effect here. But yeah, I mean, I would do, in a heartbeat, I would tell you to go to Vancouver, interior BC, Banff, and like Calgary and like that kind of area, especially if you like skiing. Lake Louise, beautiful, gorgeous, that kind of stuff. I would tell you to go Montreal, culturally speaking, is the closest thing you can get to Europe in North America. Montreal's goated. Like, just if you like food and drink and a little bit of old architecture, Montreal's goated. And then Toronto's, it's nice. It's like shittier Vancouver. But it's beautiful in its own right. And there's some good golf in and around there. And then I would tell you to go as far east as you can. And you do like the Maritimes, and you do Newfoundland, you do Nova Scotia, you do PEI. And that's kind of like our version of like Cape Cod and stuff like that. And then I would say anything else in the middle of nowhere, in the middling, quadrant of the country, just no. Do Montana or do Wyoming instead of doing Saskatchewan or Manitoba. They're flyover places, they're drive-through places. And anyone from there will kind of get a little pissed off at me for saying so. But like, just not much going on, man. Yeah. I mean, Whistler, unbelievable, man. Whistler's great. It's a little bit overpriced now, but the golfing, the biking, and the skiing is second to none, man. Yeah. Chambers Bay is beautiful. Played Chambers Bay a couple years ago. Love it. Bermuda. No, never been. Would love to hear more. I think this is going to be Kyler for me. You could tell me that running back is still more important than second quarterback, but no, you know what? That was no. Let's go Aaron Jones here. I think running back is more important, and I went brain dead that I was getting the Kyler McBride stack. I'm living in 2023, guys. I was going, oh yeah, here we go. Kyler McBride stack for free comes back to us. No, we'll take Aaron Jones, and then if Kyler comes back, now we have a stack partner for him. I was really hoping that Bo Nix came back to us. I'm a little bit torn on Bo Nix right now, guys. I don't know. Like, pretty good from a point per game standpoint. He was good last year. I'm a little scared the defense is too good for them to hang big numbers offensively on teams, but they found ways to get into a couple shootouts last year. Yeah, they add Jalen Waddle, who's probably the best wide receiver he's ever had. So yeah. No, I have not been to Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach is on the short list. I'd love to go do some of that like Jupiter golf. We actually had a trip lined up for that, and then NBA Dog Bowl overlapped with it. So obviously went to NBA Dog Bowl, especially, I would never miss a Dog Bowl because I love it so much, but especially after qualifying in that. Diggs stands out to me. Likely stands out for me for the stack, even though he's not my favorite target here. I don't want to handcuff Mason. Let's do Likely. You could sell me this pen that Likely could come back to us, especially with the pocket of tight ends that is here, so that taking quarterback there was more important. But I have a couple ideas in the back of my mind for quarterback right now. This might be a fuck around, find out kind of team here. But if we're going to take the swing on Dart, let's take a swing on Likely. I think that might be my first Isaiah Likely share and my first Jackson Dart share. So let's see. All right. For my audio listeners, a 1-4-4-2 start that started with pretty wide receiver heavy. And now we're kind of playing catch up at the other spots. Okay. So we got Jackson Dart. We got Swift, Pollard, Quorum, Jones, Aaron Jones, that is. And then we got Puka, London, Waddle, Metcalf, McBride, and Likely. So if we're looking at the capital buckets, we look pretty strong across the board here, guys. Obviously, quarterback being the weakest of the bunch. But if Jackson Dart plays to his abilities from last year, and we're able to snag 2 more quarterbacks, and we got backstack options with Aaron Rodgers, we got backstack options with Tua and or Penix, and then we're able to sneak in one of these other quarterbacks in the middle. I don't know. I was a little scared at first, but now I kind of like it. Go Easy Cards asking, would you like to do Ryder Cup in the US or President's Cup in Canada? I think I'd rather do President's Cup in Canada, even though it doesn't hold the same, magnitude or care level. I think I would just like to, from the country support level, I think going to a Ryder Cup would be very, very cool. I just don't think as like a Canadian going to, 2 countries that like, or 2, with Europe being like a nation or whatever, but like a setup of like 2 spots that I like don't have vested interest in. Like, the whole thesis of presidents and riders is that you're going rah for your country, right? Everybody's coming with their red, white, and blue and their painted faces, and it's kind of like World Cup kind of vibes. I think Ryder Cup would be amazing if I cared who won. Technically, the Kyler to McBride stack is still a stack if we're stacking the highest paid ones. All right, this is cool. Cam Ward comes back to us. I think it's a pretty easy click. Juwan Jennings is popping according to the solver. Maybe he comes back to us as well. But I don't really love CJ Stroud with that same argument that the defense might be too good. Danny Dimes, I only really want it if I do like the Downs or Tyler Warren thing early. Ward, we can backstack, and we have Tony Redacted, and we have a little bit of rushing upside, and he's a former 1-1 who now gets like the best offensive scheme of his life in theory. So I kind of like the potential of Cam Ward. The film bros really liked Cam Ward last year and said that the eye test was better than the stats. So I don't know. Obviously, I watched, the games. I watched, I'm a renowned watcher of the games. And I watched the games, and I watched the red zone, and I watched the recaps on YouTube. And I don't know. I don't have a sharp enough eye to be like, that was an amazing throw, but it just was the receiver's fault, without going all 22 and full breakdowns and stuff like that. I rely on other people for those knowledge just because it's so time consuming. But like, I could see it, man. He's got big arm strength. He could sling it downfield. He can run a little bit. He ran at the goal line in college. Like, let's fuck around, find out with Jackson Dart and Cam Ward, man. We probably need a little bit more running back help. This is at least a 6 running back team. They wanted us to take Juwan Jennings last time, and Juwan Jennings comes all the way back to us this time. We also have a little bit of correlation with Aaron Jones. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's take Juwan Jennings, man. That's fun. Let's see. Maybe that's not fun. Maybe that's an idea of fun. But yeah, not bad. So look at how we're filling out the capital buckets. Running back's okay. We've played catch up. Wide receiver's very strong because we started with it, obviously. Tight end's very strong because we started with that Trey McBride stuff. So it's just interesting that the solver likes this archetype of build a little bit better than a lot of the other stuff we've been doing on stream, which is more of the heavy first round running back stuff, right? All right, let's get back to what really matters here. All right. Beaches at Bermuda are amazing. Pink sand called Horseshoe Bay. Most famous beach. You got to go there sometime in your life. Very small or very safe, and it's a small island. Great for snorkeling. Amazing food. Great sales pitch, Aiden. Great sales pitch. I'm in on that. A lot of that sounds great to me. A lot of that sounds great to me. We have a Horseshoe Bay here that's actually the terminal that everybody takes the ferry out of from downtown Vancouver. It's a beautiful spot as well, but obviously distinctly different, and definitely doesn't have pink sand. But yeah, it's very cool. Very cool. Okay. If only one can happen. Week pass to the Masters or Canada wins the World Cup. I take World Cup. I mean, Masters is bucket list. I put in for the lotto every single year for the Masters, but a Canadian World Cup, like how much that would do for growth of soccer in North America, especially as a host city, I think it'd just be so beautiful. It's never going to happen, but like it would be very cool. Be very cool. France is a fucking wagon right now, guys. Like I was joking in the Discord yesterday that like the 2 backup strikers they brought on, or backup forwards they brought on yesterday, were like, 21-year-old, focal points of franchises in the EPL. Yeah. The Cash Out King, any free bonus bets, Warner? I did scroll around in the home run pick'em lobbies a little bit. If you want to scroll up in the YouTube chat, I dropped a couple of these links here. They are moon shooters of the wind blowing out variety at Kauffman Stadium. One of them was a Cedric Mullins home run. One of them was a Starling Marte. Great bonus bet kind of options because they are moon shooters. Let's take Jonah Coleman, man. I don't think I've taken Jonah Coleman once this year, but it does look like a tier break at the at the running back position. We do need some more running back depth. We already have the Jalen Waddle Denver bet. Nez and I have been quite outspoken about these correlated teammate bets. We look like we're done at tight end. We look very strong at wide receiver. And yeah, I mean, I don't think we have to take Calvin Ridley just because he stacks and the solver tells us to. We could take, DK in the last round. We could take Alakai Minora in the last round. Good Saskatoon boy. But yeah. Oh, that's a fun concept. Taking some of the takes from the baseball segment and scrolling up fantasy points. That's a good idea. I like that. Go AZ Cards making a stream appearance with candles in the morning. Love it. Great personality. Great personality to have on the program. All right. I love it when a plan comes together. What's more important to us? A Calvin Ridley stack, some of these one-offs, or Aaron Rodgers? And I think it's Aaron Rodgers, even though they share week 9 buys. I think just getting a season of Rodgers, because Rodgers isn't losing his job unless he gets hurt, right? He's coming back for his last kick at the can, like this kind of mantra. I think the job security of Rodgers is worth more than taking Tua or Penix in the last round. Because what do you win when you win with Calvin Ridley right now instead of like Alakai Minora in the last round or DK in the last round? Because I think we like this. I think we like this. We're going to end up with 3 stacked quarterbacks after, pseudo punting quarterback until the 9th round. We get 2 upside shots on Dart and Ward. We get a kind of mean projection. Rodgers, honestly, Rodgers with some room to grow after last year too, just because we anticipate them playing a little bit faster with McCarthy and being a little bit 3 wide receiver set throw heavier than they were last year with why am I blanking on Arthur Smith? So, yeah. Aiden's asking what's up with Rashid Shaheed thoughts. Go back and watch the start of Off and On the Clock from Tuesday. Nez had some great thoughts on Rashid Shaheed and talking about him being an ADP riser in the future. And we talked about the contract, and we talked about the only way we can poo-poo it is if they pigeonhole him to being a field stretcher guy and if he was a Kubiak guy through and through. And that's why they traded for him, and that's why they extended him. So those are the only holes I can point in it. Freiermuth is popping for the stack. Nez kind of sold me this pen on Alvin Kamara a little bit. I think usable weeks right now. And I mean, maybe take this with a grain of salt because Alvin Kamara might be dust. A lot of metrics suggesting he fell off pretty heavy last year. But usable weeks, assuming he's on the team, because they're probably not going to cut him, right? Like, if they were going to cut him, they would have cut him already. If they were going to restructure him, they would have restructured him already. He means too much to the community, to the franchise, to the legacy of the team to be a cut candidate, right? Even if you like, Audric Estime more right now. But I like this. We're strong at the wide receiver position. And instead of taking, one of these dart throw running backs, like, hey, can Jaden Blue win the second job? Can Ray Davis win the second job / be more than just a handcuff or benefit from being a handcuff? We took the dusty ass usable weeks. Hey, we have a weak running back room. Give us 8 points in a half PPR format, Alvin Kamara weeks. Like, we just needed usable scoring weeks there, opposed to the ceiling shot. I don't know. You can argue it both ways. And now I think we just end the draft with 2 wide receivers. And I think we could scroll wherever the F we want. Rashad Bateman getting some buzz recently. Cooper Kupp would be like the floor play, but I don't think this team needs the floor. Darnell Mooney stacks for us, and I haven't taken a single share of him yet. So maybe we take a Darnell Mooney now that we got the stackability. Just toss him in there. Why not? He had some really nice weeks with Kirk Cousins 2 years ago. Like, those Darnell Mooney Cousins splits were pretty nice. I mean, maybe there's too many mouths to feed on the Giants, but if Neighbors isn't ready to start the beginning of the season, like, Darnell Mooney could have a really nice role. Like, Juju could still just be cooked. Odell could still be cooked. All these guys that are kind of dust. Yeah. Yeah, the Kamara one, yeah, he did look dust, man. Like, he did look cooked. he kept projecting so well each week, and then the historicals just did not amount to like the player that he currently was. Especially at the tail end of the season when we saw a little bit of Kendre Miller and we saw a little bit of like Devin Neal having success as well. You know, you saw these other guys have success with Tyler Shuck, and then Kamara have none. And it was like, whoa, wheels might have just fallen off, right? Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant can both get spike weeks, switch week to week. Yeah, throw Marvin Mims in that conversation too, but they're all down here. I think Pat Bryant would be my favorite of the bunch right now. We already got the bet on Waddle and Coleman, though, so I'm probably not going to go that way. I think this is definitely a scroll the F down Tennessee wide receiver at the back here. Either of the second-year breakout guys. Malachi Fields is interesting. Like just a big body red zone guy. It's kind of interesting, but I don't really want to overstack this team. Bailey is kind of interesting, but let's go with that Titans stack that we were talking about. And I think I like Io Manor. Blah, 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 blah. I think I like the good Canadian kid a little bit more. Medicine Hat Boy. I think I like him a little bit more than DK, but both were good last year. DK obviously, has a little bit of inherent upside with touchdown scoring given his role on special teams, but he also has a little bit more potential injury risk baked in because of him being on special teams. So you could take that one either way, grain of salt. All in all, guys, I don't mind this team. We'll get ourselves to a little sucks or fucks here as I download the draft report here. I'm kind of interested what the solver thinks here. But we ended up with a pretty nicely correlated team. As you guys can see, the buckets a little low on the quarterback stuff, but I'm fine with it. Wide receiver, I would have preferred if we didn't have double week 11 buys when we didn't end up spending a shit ton of capital on it late. Like if this team would look better to me if we didn't have double week 11s to start and we had, actually, I think AJ Brown's a week 11 as well. If we had like Nico Collins, I guess, maybe, but I was enamored with London at the time and wasn't really thinking about it. I think it's fine. Don't get me wrong, but let's take a look here. We'll pull up the old solver report, courtesy of the draft assist. Not a ton of ADP value, but again, time box contest early in the season. These teams can obviously age way better than what the ADP value will suggest at this point in time. Also drafting alongside some people watching the stream, so that's never going to lend itself to ADP value. Not a ton of week 17 correlation. We got a big game stack with the Steelers and Titans thing. We have a little bit there with the London and Kamara, and we got a little bit with the Trey McBride and Kamara. But all in all, Timex contest with a smaller final, just not something we're prioritizing right now. Not something we're prioritizing all that much in a vacuum, to be honest. But like 156 person final, 2 out of 12, 1 out of 6, 1 out of 5. Like just have the horses to get you there and give you a chance. You don't need all this back stacks and bring backs and whatever, man. Have some team correlated bets, and then I don't really care about the bring back stuff, man. I think we were spoiled the first couple iterations of BBM that they wound up mattering, and a lot of our data, especially in the 12-person contests on Underdog in the daily streets, has suggested that it's actually funneling you to bad ownership patterns. Like, I don't know, man. I think we might have just been a little bit spoiled that guys got led to certain archetypes of players just because of the bring back notion, right? Yeah, anyways, I understand it in a vacuum. I don't think it's something to jump up and down and pound the table for that. Like, hey, you need a week 17 bring back, bro. Like, we're just making team level bets out here. As you guys can see, we stacked up 3 quarterbacks, but our biggest bets were not on those stacked teams. It's because we allotted draft capital to some of these other teams and we tethered some of those other teams to capital. So very fun multi-level team bets where we're kind of smoothing out the variance of this roster by going, hey, we got bets on like 5 different teams right now, 6 different teams that are quite heavy because our quarterbacks are coming from different environments than our onslaught stacks are coming from. Very cool. Very cool. Food for thought. I don't know. We'll see. Because as we alluded to in the draft, it would have been really easy just to take Matthew Stafford. Would have been really easy, you know? So this is kind of a different spin on the same kind of build. So we have team stacks of the Giants, the Titans, and the Steelers, but our draft capital spent is higher on the Rams, Atlanta, Arizona, and Denver. Kind of interesting. Not something we normally aim to execute. So just kind of a quirky, fun, different build. We end up with a 3-6-7-2, which is the first of its kind on the program this year. Then we end up with a first half build of a 1-3-4-1, which is kind of more traditional for the first 9 rounds than some of the other stuff we've been doing this year. So kind of fun, man. We fill out the capital bucket for both quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. Quarterback just ever so slightly a little bit lower than we're accustomed to, and running back maybe a little bit lower, but you guys can tell me. Jackson Dart, Cam Ward, Aaron Rodgers. You get the old guy to usher in the mean weeks, and then you get kind of like the 2 ceiling shot archetypes of second-year guys, okay? Swift, Pollard, Corum, Jones, Coleman, and Kamara. We're going to need usable weeks out of Kamara. We're going to need Coleman to carve out a role of like any kind. We're going to need some dusty Aaron Jones mean projection weeks. And then we're going to need Swift to be the guy who outscores that tier of Buck Irving, David Montgomery, etc. And then we're going to need Pollard and Corum to do exactly what they did last year again for this team. Okay? Puka and London, Waddle and Metcalf. Very, very strong wide receiver room without having to reach. And then we get Juwan Jennings as kind of just like a mean projection anchoring third wide receiver guy with, you know, obviously ceiling because he's shown it in back-to-back years that he can have 3 touchdown games. So there's definitely some ceiling tethered to Juwan Jennings, especially in a KOC scheme. But, you know, he's probably third, maybe fourth fiddle in his own offense. So, you know, some spike week potential, but not overly quote unquote safe. And then we go with Mooney and Alec Iomanner as the stacking partners of the scroll the F down variety. Mooney a little bit less so. And then the tight end position is anchored by 2 in the top 15. In a vacuum, I would have preferred Andrews and Dallas Goedert over Isaiah Likely. But when we made the bet on Jackson Dart, it made sense to take Likely. Trey McBride, I still think there's room for both him and Bowers to rise this offseason. So honestly, on the sucks or fucks, it's an uncomfortable, kind of awkward fuck that's like, you know what? It might be better next time. It might be better next time when we just run this back in August. If we draft this exact same team in August and it's our second fuck of this iteration, maybe it's a little less awkward. Maybe it's a little like, ooh, you know, there's something here. There's something here. There's a spark. There's a spark. There's a little romantic flair to this occasion. So honestly, I'm giving it a 7. I'm giving this a 7 out of 10 fucks. It's not something we've attempted yet, and I actually like how it turned out. Maybe if I could redo like one of those back end running back picks, so there was a little bit more ceiling in like the Jones, Coleman, or Kamara picks, and I did like a little bit more of a moon shooter. Like maybe Ray Davis was better for this team than Alvin Kamara, but I like it. I like it. I love that top 4 at the wide receiver position. I love Trey McBride. I love the 3 quarterback room that encapsulates ceiling and floor. Also some rushing floor from both of those guys. Man, I like it. I like it. I think this team fucks. I don't think it's all that bad. Awesome stuff, guys. Appreciate you being here 2 hours earlier than normal. Leave a comment, leave a like, leave all that stuff, or message me in the Discord or message the main thread in the Discord if you guys prefer this time slot going forward. It might be hard for me when the hockey schedule ramps up. Like Wednesday morning, for instance, like I played hockey at 10:30 on Tuesday night. I played slow pitch, then I played hockey. And it was like, holy shit, there was no way I was getting up in time to do the research, be ready, be prepped for a show at 9 on that morning. But in a vacuum, I think this time slot might be really good for people for approaching the daily slates for both basketball and baseball, because the content is time sensitive, right? So it gives us an extra 2 hours for people to watch it, kind of thing. Provided I can, do my research and get my takes ready for the stuff, and Nez can do the same. So anyways, let us know their fun baseball slate. Go dial that back. If you guys are just arriving for the normal time slot, go roll it back about half an hour, maybe 15 minutes on NBA trades, another half an hour to an hour on baseball, and then another hour on football there to close it out for a nice tidy show. Go enjoy the footy this evening. I will be watching the Spain game. Then I'll be watching probably from the arena this evening. So if you are from Vancouver or whatever, shoot me a message. Happy to have a cold one with anybody at the stadium this evening. And then tomorrow I'll be back 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern. It'll be a Frenchie Friday. It'll be a loaded baseball slate. Maybe we'll talk a little footy. We'll have some fun. But more of the same to roll it over tomorrow. And also, guys, if you're just rolling in, go ahead and check out Nezzy Takes. He joined the great late round quarterback JJ Zachariason. He joined him on the Becoming a Basketball Bro and talking about the landscape of drafting this year. I'm afraid they might have talked a little bit more of the redacted side just because of JJ's affiliation now, but that's neither here nor there. Go enjoy the podcast there. I will go enjoy it this evening. I will put this in the chat for everybody as well. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. I love the cheese rolling through late. Appreciate everybody participating in the chat today. Great episode. A lot of fun. Appreciate you guys being here when your eyeballs could be so many other places, especially on a holiday week/weekend. See you guys tomorrow. If you guys are not already on holidays, I will be here. Everybody's favorite time of the show, the end. Peace.